and welcome back. My name is Fee and I am going to show you today how to make a very simple risotto. My mum made risotto all the time, being an Italian chef in a gorgeous restaurant on the Gold Coast. Actually is where my mum and dad started their food businesses. We would eat risotto often, so I'm going to show you a really simple one today. We're not going to complicate it. We're going to use simple Italian flavours, keeping in mind that the Italian kitchen is really based on simplicity. To make risotto, number one essential is Arborio rice, chopped up onions. We are going to make just a very simple semi-dried tomato and olive flavour. We're going to use fresh basil, white wine, very important, half a cup garlic, some mixed herbs and nutritional yeast. And we're going to actually use half a can of our tomato today, not the full can, and make a nice rich tomatoey flavour, olive oil always, and about a litre of vegetable stock. So you can buy any plant-based stock or you can make your own veggie stock as well. So let's get started. Olive oil, a couple of generous tablespoons. Now with a risotto, it is best to use a pot like this one that's got more surface temperature because we want to really toast that rice in the heat. So our first step is, once that's nice and hot, is to get in our onion, and we want to cook that till it's translucent. With making risotto, there are so many flavours. You can add in any kind of veggies. One of my favourites is mushroom. You can add some veggies, capsicum, asparagus. The options are endless. And if you're meat eaters or seafood, then you can throw anything else in there. But we are purely plant-based here at Wholesome Bellies, so you won't see any of that. But I'm happy to give you some tips. We are ready to pop in our garlic. So I've put in 3 cloves. You can put in more, you can put in less, you can put in none. It's up to you. Very good tip when making risotto is to make sure that your water, your stock, is hot. So once that is done, because I'm not actually going to saute any veggies, I'm going to pop in my rice. Now, if you were doing mushrooms, for example, I would be encouraging you to fry those mushrooms off so that we release all of the water out of them, and then you can add in your rice. So let's get our rice in. Now we want the rice to be nicely coated, and we want to almost toast that off a little bit. Now, I would love to hear in the comments what your favourite risotto is, or have you got some new twists on it that I haven't mentioned, because there's really just so many ways to make it. A couple of tips with our basil. As you can see, I've just got the whole leaves. I'm actually not going to cut it with a knife. So when we cut our basil with a knife, we bruise the basil, we lose some flavour, and it goes brown. So we're just going to tear that up with our hands. So when cooking with basil, that is the best way to use your basil. So if you can have a look in my pot here, you will see that the rice is toasting up a little bit. And when you can see that it's toasted, you are ready to put in your wine. That sound, that sizzle. All right, so we want to cook off that wine, burn off the alcohol content, but adding the wine really does add some flavour. My God, if you could smell this. I feel like I'm at home with mum and dad having lunch and a glass of wine. That looks so good. All right, so with that basil, we're just going to tear that up, pop it into our rice. Okay, I'm going to tip in all of those olives and semi-dried tomatoes. I'm going to pop in a teaspoon of salt. Okay, I'm going to give that a really good mix. Look at that colour already. And then I'll pop in these herbs, just mixed herbs. Okay, and then our tomato. I'm going to do half a can. It's about half, just so we can have it sort of more of an orangey colour rather than red once we add that broth. As most of you probably know, risotto is a labour of love. So it is the kind of dish that you need to attend to. You need to give it lots of love. You can't just kind of walk away from it, unfortunately. I am going to add in a bit of my stock. Now, with 1 cup of rice, usually we need about a litre of water. It really depends on your texture and what else is going on and in the pot and veggies and whatnot, how much you need. So my suggestion is just to start with half a litre first. And we're going to let the rice absorb all of that delicious broth. We're going to keep this handy, and as the liquid absorbs, we're going to add a little bit more broth as we go. So not the whole jug again, we're just going to keep going slowly because we want the rice al dente. So we don't want it crunchy, we don't want it soft, we want it al dente, and the risotto should be eaten with a little bit of liquid still in the bowl. And it's best to, when it's made, to let it sit. And our nutritional yeast is just our Parmesan cheese substitute in our kitchen. If you are vegetarian and not vegan, you would add Parmesan cheese, but we're going to hold off and put this in a little bit later towards the end. So rather than you just watching me for 20 minutes or even 25, slowly cooking that down, I'm going to just let it simmer and I'll come back and show you what we're up to as we add a little bit more of that liquid. Okay, it's been maybe 5 minutes, not even, and that risotto is looking amazing. It smells so good. But as you can see, the water is slowly being absorbed. So it is time to add a little bit more stock. So I'm just going to add that's it. Just enough so that it's swimming in some liquid again, and that'll allow that to continue to cook. And we're going to just keep following that very simple process. So move away for a bit, come back and attend to it. Helps to have a glass of wine. All right. So when you get to this stage, the best thing to do is to actually have a taste. So we want to see how close we are to being cooked and if we've got the flavours in there. So I'm going to just have a little taste. The flavour is spot on, perfect for salt. It is still quite firm, so we may actually need even more stock than this. So I'm just going to pop the rest of this in. There we go. And see how we go. So always just have the kettle of hot water ready to go. You probably won't need to make more stock. A litre of stock is going to be enough to give you flavour. Just have the hot water ready in case you need more water. Another thing to be mindful of that I forgot to mention is, depending on your stock, be careful how much extra salt you add. So I added a teaspoon, and that is quite flavoursome. So maybe for some, too much salt, because this has salt in it as well. So one thing you could do is add your stock, because every stock is different. And then at this stage, have a taste. And if you need a little bit more flavour, then add your salt. All right, let's see where we're at. Looks good. Okay, I'm just going to have another taste. That is almost done. Almost there. Now that's the kind of consistency that you want it to be. You can see there's still some liquid. I'm going to add a tiny bit of hot water and just turn that off and let that sit, because while it's so hot, that rice will continue to absorb all of that water. So we're just going to turn the cooktop off, and we're just going to let that sit there for about 5 minutes. We'll pop in our nutritional yeast or your Parmesan if you prefer. You can top it with some fresh parsley or basil. Let that sit there, and I'm going to plate it up in a minute and have a delicious bowl of risotto. All right, the best time has arrived. I'm going to tuck in. See how the rice still is a little liquidy? It's not sort of gluggy. That's how we want it to look when we enjoy it. So let's have a taste. That's so good. So many flavours, so simple, but I can still taste the lovely acidity from the wine, saltiness from the olives, the basil. That is a hit for me. Absolutely delicious. Let me know if you give it a go and what variations you try. Thank you for watching, and happy cooking, guys.